So we just bought this house, and right next to the house, on the east facing wall of the house, there is garden space. And the garden space looks like all it's had over the past 10 or 20 years is a compilation of cigarette butts, maybe some tinkles from people peeing out here, and some dandelions. It's hard, it's compact, and there's not much going on here. So what we're trying to do is build soil fertility here, make this a nice garden bed, a nice space, without breaking the bank. And what we found here in Missouri is different than where we live in Alaska, is that everywhere, I'm talking to the camera, is that everywhere around here there's leaves, leaf litter, tons of leaf litter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn all this soil, turn this bed, and then we're gonna put leaves in there and we're gonna mix it all in. We're gonna add a few bags of compost from Menards. It's $2.96, $2.36 a bag. And then a couple bags of sphagnum moss. We're gonna mix it all in there together with a good old trusty shovel. And then hopefully, maybe not this year, but next year, the soil in this bed will be rich and ready for a garden, with only spending maybe I think about $45 for the peat moss and the compost. Now we don't necessarily need to buy those things, but we're hoping on planting a few roses here this year so they can get established before we go back to Alaska. So that's what we're gonna do today, is just turn this bed and make a nice garden bed. All right. And we're not trying to do it crazy. We're just trying to do a quick turn. We're not double digging or anything crazy like that where we're going down 8 inches, 10 inches. We're really just trying to break up the surface of it, and then we'll mix the leaf litter in with that. Yeah, I'm talking to God. Yeah, great idea. Okay, now I'm just going to put a layer of leaves over there.
Dad, what are you doing?
Oh, don't hit me down right now. You can get in, Kenny, when you don't get help. Yeah. Yeah, there's hardly any worms in this.
Yeah. Probably only the ones that we put in.
Probably. I tell you, this is where broad fork would be. We don't even have to do this, we just broad fork it. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna sprinkle in this peat moss. Marlena, don't mess with it. Sprinkle in some of this peat moss. Sprinkle in some of this compost and manure. We got them both from the store. And we're gonna let rain and the wind and the elements of the earth till in this leaf, dirt, peat moss, manure, compost mixture. And like I said, we can't promise that this year this is gonna be a great garden. If we wanted it to be, we could spend another couple $100 on some of this stuff, some more compost manure, and we could sprinkle that in and make it a thicker layer. But all we're really trying to do is make a compost right here in the bed for long-term soil fertility. And there's nothing better for long-term soil fertility than some leaf litter. So that's what we're gonna do. And leaf litter takes some work to pick up, but it doesn't cost any money if you're in an area where you can get it right from your yard. We bought this place here in Missouri, and there were leaves everywhere. The place hasn't been raked in 10 years. Cleaning out the gutters, cleaning out the driveway, so we're just using it. And it's a thick layer of leaf mulch on these beds. Some would say that maybe it's too thick, but because the soil seems so deficient, we're doing it. We're using these high-cost tools to spread. Now where we live in Alaska, we get dump trucks of peat moss for a few $100, or we can go to our neighbor's house and he gives us truckloads if we load it. And so that's what we've done in our garden back home, is we've taken at least a dozen truckloads of peat moss. Now, I don't know anyone here in Missouri besides the family, and no one has peat moss. And so we figured we'll just buy 2 of these bags. And as we're seeing, it's going a lot further than expected. So we're gonna be able to use what we've got left for the front yard, because we're gonna do the same thing to gardens outside. Savannah. Okay, so now we're gonna sprinkle the compost manure, and we bought 10 bags. They're each 0.75 cubic feet. We're gonna spread out 5 and see where that leaves us, so we can potentially use the rest for the front gardens. Yep.
And there's some nuts and there's some corn.
Yeah, I got them too. Hey guys, don't do that. Okay, so that's 5. You hear the sirens? That's why we live in Alaska, where we live. Either way, we're gonna do 5 more. So to spare you the time of us cutting the bags open, we'll be right back. As the kids are crazy, one yelling at us to stop it, we're gonna continue on sprinkling this down and hopefully get it done. Okay, we're gonna stop at that. 7 bags. 8 bags, then we're gonna mix it all in a little bit as the kids have fun. What? Yep. Thank you.
Mom, do you know where that cell is?
No.
See the hat in your hand. In your hand, Mom. Do you know where it is? Huh? Do you know where it is? Huh? Do you know where it is? Huh? Do you know where it is?
So that's it. That's what we'll do for this year. We're gonna plant some roses in here and maybe some other perennial flowers up here by the house. And we're just gonna hope that the soil breaks down and the leaf litter breaks down just as it does in the forest. And so next year and the years after, we can have a good fertilizer, good mulch, and good compost and organic matter here in the soil. So that's how we're turning this bare garden space.
I climbed. I go there.
You did. Into a garden for long-term use. That's all we got. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel and maybe learn more.
Mm-hmm.